Well, hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome along to our final briefing for the UFO S.H.A.D.O Technical Operations Manual. I still can't remember how to say the full name because I confuse it with this beauty here. But do let us know where you're watching from. And as usual, I've got some thrilling housekeeping for you, which is if you are on Facebook and you want us to see your comments, then you have to go here to streamyard.com/Facebook and give it authorization so that we can see your name. Because otherwise it'll just show us Facebook user. So Jim from Derby and goodness me, what an honor. David Tremont joining us from New Zealand. Really good to see you there. We've got Norfolk, Kevin in Scotland. Glamorous Lowestoft for Rob there. Lots of you from all over the place. Welcome along. Even some from Australia there I saw. The names flying past so quick, I can't really see them all. Somebody here in Canada. Tony Terry, sorry, out in Greece. Sorry, Terry, I know exactly who you are. So, folks, welcome along. It's really, really great to have you. We just wanted to tell you a bit more about this upcoming book, really. And I'm going to welcome along the people behind that very, very shortly. Chris Thompson and Andrew Clements, because they have written all the content for you, and Chris has done all the beautiful illustrations. I'll go back to my housekeeping momentarily. You there, Facebook user saying hello to me. It's great to see you. However, I can't see you. I don't know who you are. So go to streamyard.com/Facebook and authorize us to see who you are, please. That would be great. We've seen a few more people from all over the place. Surrey, Somerset, Arizona. Hello there, Spooky Bacon. What a fantastic name. So yes, Chris and AC will be joining us any second. We're going to show you through some more previews and more pages from the manual. We've got a nice trailer for you. We're going to tell you the price and how exactly you can get it, including the special edition, because I know lots of you are eager to know what's in the special edition and how to get it. We're going to show you all the different parts of that, answer your questions along the way. And hopefully by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what's in the book, what's in the special, how to get them, and when and where. So without further ado, I shall welcome along now Chris Thompson and Andrew Clements. And here they are.
Hello there.
Hello.
Hello, Chris and AC. Chris, for those of people who don't know who you are and also what your involvement was with this book, I'll let you go first and you can quickly give us a rundown on who the hell is Chris Thompson.
Hello, who the hell is Chris Thompson? My name is Chris Thompson. I am the author and lead illustrator of the Moonbase Alpha Technical Operations Manual, which is this lovely book here. And I have co-wrote, along with the chap downstairs, AC, the UFO S.H.A.D.O Technical Operations Manual. And as you see, they make a lovely set.
What a lovely pair, as they say. And on a euphemistic kind of line like that, AC, it feels only right to welcome you along as well. AC, who are you and what do you do in the worlds of Anderson, please?
Well, I'm AC, and I co-wrote this behemoth of a book with the very talented Mr. Chris Thompson just there. And I like to think that he's done the heavy lifting and I've done a little light sprinkling of things to just to add a little more zing and pop. And I did have the honor of going through and giving some feedback on the other sections during the development process to tighten up any little other bits as well.
Very nice. Well, thank you. You're a dream duo, obviously. And I did notice there was Willow up there giving you some praise.
Thank you.
You're amazing.
I also want to give a shout out to my dad, who appears to be in the chat somewhere. So, hi, Dad.
Brilliant.
Hello, Chris's dad.
Hi, Chris's dad. I love the spread of people we get on these live streams. It's fantastic. So lots of you were here last time. If you did come to our previous briefing, I'd love to know in the comments, because then I get a sense for how long we should dwell on showing you the pages that we showed last time. But we've got plenty of new stuff to show you, as well as the special edition. So let us know in the comments there. Also, if you have already got the Space 1999 manual, we'd love to know that too. But Chris, I can see lots of people praising your artwork and saying lots of lovely things and how much they enjoy it. So how much have you created for this new manual?
So the asset for this one was pretty insane. I can't remember exactly how many like models I had to make, but the illustrations together with everybody else came up to about 182, 183. Even when we were in the checking phase, we were still adding more. We'd forget like, oh no, we forgot the alien explosive from the long sleep or something like that. Or wouldn't it be fun to see what the other side of the moon mobile cockpit looks like? So it's sort of like a constant, because I get to be lead writer as well. Anytime I think, oh, we could have an illustration for that, I can do that. Like it's plausible. So a lot is the short answer to that, but it's while being smaller than the Moonbase Alpha manual, in many ways it did take roughly the same amount of time, because a lot of things in UFO are like not necessarily more complicated, but there's a lot more compound curves and there's a lot more design, and all the sets are like bespoke and special for it.
Yes, yeah, you couldn't reuse much, if anything, I suspect, from Moonbase Alpha, could you?
No.
No, there you go. Well, look, let's pass through the interior pages that we previewed last time. But those of you who didn't see last time, you can see them for the first time. And if you did see them last time, then you get to enjoy them all over again. So I'll just counter through these pretty quickly, Chris. But the contents page seems like a good place to start. So just give us some top line of what people could expect in the book.
So pretty much it's a deep dive into the S.H.A.D.O organization rather than the laser focus on Moonbase Alpha that we did for the Moonbase manual. This is a pretty wide category of the entire organization. So we have pages dedicated to S.H.A.D.O HQ, then we go to Moonbase, and then we go to the fleet of vehicles that S.H.A.D.O runs, and then touching on all the equipment that you'd be using, the personnel that you'd be working with, the aliens and what little we know about them, and then a last little section about where the series may go, potentially.
Okay, so some speculation as well. It's a kind of historical review. So just flicking through some pages for you here, we can see some stuff around Moonbase and its development. Fantastic launch silos for the interceptors. And Chris, you solved a problem here, I believe.
Yeah, one of many. One of which is how do they get into the interceptor? And obviously you see them jumping into the slides, and the next time you see them, the interceptors are getting raised to the roof, and also needed to kind of factor in like how do they maintain the interceptors, like where do they work on them, things like that. And also if they can slide straight into it, then why is the roof door like covered by that central nacelle that's just up above the window? So it's all these little things. In this instance, the very low-tech solution of a stepladder, but and a retractable slide. But it's that kind of thing that you sort of, when it comes to an old TV show, you need to sort of work around.
And I think in the 1980s, a stepladder is a very high-tech solution, actually.
It's how they actually get into planes. So like
exactly,
it's not messed up in the last 100 years of flight. So hopefully it will continue to be a strong staple of the spaceflight industry.
They're very reliable. Speaking of the spaceflight industry, there's a lovely image here of S.H.A.D.O Space Forces, which kind of leads our section with all things space and interplanetary. We have got an explanation, I believe, Chris, for the one-shot aspect of the interceptors.
Yeah, we touched on it last time, but yes, there is a little explanation which this page is dedicated to, so you'll never have to ask again.
No one will ever have to worry about it ever again. So here's some more stuff. We've got plenty of cockpits. Cockpits are quite a challenge, Chris, in terms of building because of how they do or don't fit into models.
Yeah, a little bit of that. The particularly like in this instance, the moon mobile cockpit it's square. The exterior is cylindrical, and yeah, the eye lines of the actors and things, it made it a bit tricky, including how do they get into it. So I had to come up with this hatch just behind the seats for them to crawl through and be able to get into the cockpit. So it's stuff like that, like you have to think of when you try to show the rest of the set.
Yeah, but again, just attention to detail and love for wanting it all to make sense for viewers of the show, which is great. We've also got our lovely blueprints. The Kingfisher here. This is another one where have you drawn names and data from? It's not just from the episodes themselves.
Well, in this particular instance, the Kingfisher, it's really mostly known as the S.H.A.D.O VTOL. but a few pieces of external media, such as the annuals, do refer to it as the Kingfisher and the seaplane as the Albatross, and things like that. So you sort of need to go a little bit outside the series to work out what these things were actually called, because this was just a guest craft that was used in a couple of shots in Ordeal. But I got the feeling that they probably thought they'd be using it a lot more because it's a really good model.
It is. It's very cool.
It is very cool. It's nice to kind of get to see all the rest of the sides of it.
Yeah. No, it's to make more of these guest vehicles and the models that the team so beautifully made at the time. It's just a nice thing to be able to do and to show them off. So it's all these things that I think are a really nice nod to the production teams of the era. I'm just going to linger on this one because it's one of my favorites, the Subpen, which last time we showed this, we had quite a few people saying, oh, it's got a lovely kind of Stingray vibe to it. But this is a bit of a testament, I will say, Chris, to your skill and hard work, I think, because it just looks so lovely.
Well, it was like, you don't want to just map out the set, you want to include the ambient lighting. And that was something that we did take into account for this one, because one of the criticisms of the previous manual is that some illustrations came off a bit dark, because I didn't really want to have the standard white Moonbase Alpha lighting across all the shots. I wanted to show them with like the nighttime green sometimes, with the oranges and things. And this kind of exemplifies that. The set that they made for the Skydive Subpen it's quite atmospheric. It didn't get much use, and I think it was for the smaller scale Skydiver as well. But they have that nice shaft of light that comes in from above, and a few other light sources here and there. So I wanted to keep that somewhat spooky vibe, almost like a James Bond villain hideout.
It's definitely got that, and I think actually the atmospheric lighting and the sort of the ambiance that you've brought to a lot of the images is really, really nice. But it's not just about the kind of the environmental feeling of the place. There's a lot of technical detail. So let's get nerdy with this, Chris. Tell me about some Shadow equipment.
So we do cover things like all the weapons they use. This is the rocket launcher that made a couple of appearances, but we cover the rifles, we cover the the uniforms, we explain what those little makeup kit things, the radios on the side of the Moonbase operators are. We talk about the spacesuits and just little bits and bobs here and there. There wasn't as much original stuff in UFO because on Space 1999 they were populating an entire world with all these special things like comlocks and things. Yeah. Whereas UFO is a little less, but it is still worth covering. And we also get to cover the evolution because like some of the guns and things change over the course of the show, and it's kind of fun to tie that into whenever they evidently start getting like alien technology, because they pick up the alien firearms from episode 2, and you could think that they could reverse engineer those.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's attention to detail across the board. AC, I know you've brought in a special kind of expertise on all things alien and personnel, and we're going to showcase a couple of pages from your section shortly. I just thought I'd pop that comment out from Martin.
Thank you, Martin.
Is that nice?
Thank you very much, Martin.
Great hard work. And yes, I absolutely will second that. Amazing hard work from you, gents. I know you've gone above and beyond yet again on this. So the actual book itself, I think, looks rather lovely. Chris, you can show it off next to the Moonbase one now.
I can actually show off the back of it as well. I don't think we've shown it.
There you go. No, we haven't seen the back yet. Exclusive book back.
So this is the back end. Yeah. So, and that's the spine. Got a little interceptor down there. And we did, this is just a mock-up, but so it will be even more similar when you finally get it. But they are designed as a pair. They are designed as a pair to kind of sit beside each other, and the spines line up and everything. So, yeah, hopefully
perfect for the shelf. Very nice.
Perfect for the shelf.
So this is the whole thing. In case you're not picking up that vibe, it's designed as a manual that will be handed to you on your first day as a new Shadow recruit. You've signed your official sequence stuff. You know that you're going to have to pretend now to all the people you know and love you're doing some mundane job when you're actually saving the world. So there's a lot of detail about the organization, and you mentioned the interceptors there. So should we reveal some new pages?
Well, interestingly, just on that, what I quite like doing about having these immersive sort of in-universe manuals is there's so much information out there about like how the models were made, and like how the sets were made and all the behind the scenes history. And there's like multiple books of all that kind of stuff. And it's almost like sometimes it feels like the show itself gets a bit left out. So no one's really talking about the actual lore of the show itself. So I do really enjoy, like, I couldn't really tell you exactly what kit parts we used on the Interceptor, but it's fun to be able to be like, but this is what they do. So
yeah.
But yes, we do have more stuff coming up. So we want to have a look at that.
Yeah. So here we go. So what's this? This doesn't look like an Interceptor I know from the show.
Because this is Mike Trim's Interceptor. So last year on the Space 1999 book, I used the Chris Foss Eagle as the precursor to the Eagle. And there's such a small fan following for the Mike Trim Interceptor. It was nice just to give it a page. There's an interesting story about this, which was Mike had designed this originally to kind of tie in with the Moonmobile. Because he was like, the Moonmobile is an evolution of the design in Captain Scarlet. And Mike wanted to do something kind of accurate and sort of something that felt really NASA-like. So they came up with this like space fighter design, which is probably one of the most accurate space fighter designs of like I've ever seen, really. And Derek looked at it. Derek Meddings, the model effects supervisor, and I think he felt it didn't really match the vibe of the show that they were going for, because while there's a lot of really high detailed accuracy in UFO, there's also that kind of fun edge. So the Interceptor that you finally see on screen is a smaller, kind of sleeker design with the wee fin on top, which is now an aerial, just in case anybody thinks it's an aileron or something like that in space. But it was nice to be able to go back and sort of show Mike's original hard work, because it's still a very lovely design, and just make it part of a link of how they got to the final Interceptor.
Yeah. Makes perfect sense to examine the DNA of the production of the show and make it in universe. So that's a really nice little.
Well, S.H.A.D.O had like 10 years. So from the first sort of sequences to identify, there's 10 years to fill of how S.H.A.D.O comes up with everything. And obviously they're not going to go immediately, right, boom, this is what an Interceptor is. Bearing in mind that by 1970, it's 1 year after the moon landing. So it's fun trying to come up with these little how they get their stories.
Nice. Well, so I'm glad things like that have made it in. Obviously, it's not just the prototype stuff. We've got some beautiful images that you've done of the well-known vehicles from the show. So again, I feel I've got a bit of a soft spot for Skydiver here, but
yeah, this is probably my favorite image in the manual, and I just love Skydiver. It's just such a nice shape, and it's like it feels like a submarine, but it feels like a plane. And yes, it's really, really small. I'm going to get flack for that, but still, it's the way whenever you see it kind of like rising up in the water and doing its little sea skim technique, it's just really, really nice.
Yeah, it is a beauty, and another really nice atmospheric shot, but not kind of not one of the dark ones. This is, light, bright, showcasing that amazing craft.
Well, again, in contrast to Moonbase Alpha, like it's nice to be able to have daylight.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, at least we're not stuck on the moon here. We have got some moon stuff. Also, you've gone into kind of some tactical bits and pieces.
Yes. So it's not one of the criticisms again that we got last time was that there wasn't that many operations in the Moonbase Alpha technical operations manual. So we have included a few more here. This is sort of trying to explain how they intend to use the mobiles, because not all mobiles are armed. Particularly in the computer affair, Alec Freeman does mention like they have a standard operating procedure when engaging UFOs, even though it's the first UFO they've ever engaged. So it sort of explains how that comes about. Like, where did the sort of combat mobiles fit in? Where does like the shadow control mobile fit in? And also talking a bit about like other times that they engage UFOs, like in the Sound of Silence, and what those mortars are, and
yes,
different interesting ways for them to kind of fight this extremely superior alien force.
Yeah, and again, it makes sense that this would have been documented beforehand. It wasn't just like, oh, thank goodness we built these timed mortars in for random underwater attacks. They knew what was going on. So, and in fact, CT and viewers, I'll let you in on a little secret. I was using Chris's reference for this earlier today for something top secret. So that was Very useful, Chris. Thanks. Now, AC, you've been sat there very patiently, and we know that Chris put you to work on important stuff. Perhaps the most important, one might say. All that tech stuff's great, but without a target to attack or people to run the operations, it would be nothing. So what's the process been for putting together the personnel elements to start with?
Well, the first thing I did actually was, it's been a couple of years since I've seen the series all the way through, and it was just a joy to go back and actually watch it all again and think, this is such a good show. I always knew that I really enjoyed it, but it's just so good. I don't think it's much of a secret that I prefer it to Space 1999, and I'm sorry, everyone. Don't shoot me, but I do love UFO, and I have a real soft spot for it. I think I actually came to it fairly late. I think it was 2004, 2005. I ended up getting the DVDs, and I just went through and devoured it again, episode by episode, picking out all the little details that I could find that were pertinent to characters. And there is quite a bit of character development in UFO as well, which is it's nice to see that, and it's fairly consistent through the series as well. But I wanted to give each character like a little flavor of something unique. So we've gone with Straker there, and done a little bit of the history on him and what he did before and how he was brought in, and of course done similar things with the other characters as well, very much the way we did with the Moonbase manual previously. Yeah. But I had forgotten a lot of the details about it. In fact, Chris reminded me. I think I had him born in Brooklyn or something like that. And Chris reminded me, doesn't he say in one episode that he's born in Boston? And I said, yes,
grew up in Boston. So you could technically have had it, but somebody would have said.
Yes, better fix that. So this is why it was quite nice going through it, because we're sort of basically acting as proofreading for each other, and just going into the details of it. But I think it was nice. We didn't cover every single characters. There were minor shadow operatives that will not be covered because they'll just fall under the blanket purview of all of Shadow's operations. But we got most of the main characters in there, and it was nice to flesh them out a little bit as well.
Brilliant. So we extend beyond the hardware into the software, if you will, but also, of course, the enemy is key here. So you've done the good and the bad. So what's the process like on the aliens? I think it's not unfair to say that even Shadow themselves, by the end of the series, don't know that much about the aliens. They remain enigmatic, a mystery.
I think that's fair to say. Yeah, it really all stems back from Straker's 3 questions in the pilot episode. Who are they? Where do they come from? And why do they come? And you got to sort of look at that in the context of this manual, which, as you say, of course, is set as an in-universe manual that a Shadow operative would have. So you got to stick with the little that we do know from the series to begin with, and that was always the starting point. There's no point just going off and making up a bunch of stuff simply to fill up the manual. You got to keep it as close as possible. But I think with the aliens, we had a little bit more freedom because there is so little known about them. So we obviously had to do a little bit of work with the craft themselves, because while the UFO are iconic and we all know that they shoot lasers and they spin when they fly and they self-destruct when they're in Earth's atmosphere, we have to rationalize all that. And it's thinking about things like, well, is it purely a corrosive effect of the atmosphere on the UFO, or is it possibly something more than that? Is it perhaps a self-destruct mechanism? They don't want their technology falling into primitive hands and being able to possibly be reverse engineered and maybe used against them or something like that. So while there's a certain amount of internal logic in the series that is fairly consistent, sometimes you have to take a few extra little leaps here and there to try and rationalize why things appear to work the way that they do. The aliens themselves, while of course being the major enemies of the series, we do learn very little about them, but what we do know, we can extrapolate from that. So again, that's something where it was quite fun coming up with ideas as to why they do what they do, perhaps, and exactly how their technology functions. And quite like the Shadow operatives and equipment as well, we also go into a little bit of detail about how their spacesuits are functioning and how their weaponry works, but not in too great detail. We sort of rationalized it that in some of these encounters that S.H.A.D.O have had with the aliens, it's more than likely they would have been able to recover more than a few subjects than we saw on the television series itself, and examine them, and then add this information to the manual, keep it updated, so that the S.H.A.D.O operatives would actually have the best chance of familiarizing themselves with and indeed protecting themselves if they were in the unfortunate situation of being up close and personal with the aliens, as it were.
Yeah, so the book really will give you everything you need if there is, some secret alien stuff going on out there.
Exactly.
Yes, well worth the purchase alone just for that. So I've seen there's so many comments flying by with full of praise for you both and for the rest of the team that's worked on this book. Chris, you brought back a couple of friendly faces from previous publications and previous Anderson stuff. Do you just want to give them a nod to the rest of the great team?
Yes, so it's not just us on board. We've been working with Christina Logan. She's been producing illustrations for the uniform side of things. I really, really love her work. She does a nice sort of like in-universe 1970s, 1980s kind of style, which I enjoy. We have Graham Bleethman doing illustration on this one, and it's a very nice one. It's a nice montage, and it looks very nice on the introduction to the vehicle section, alongside the standard spotter's guide list of everything. And yeah, also with joining us this time is Robbie Pachalik, who is producing our special edition designs for like the additional material in there. So he's put together some nice designs for the additional Etheria that's coming with that.
The paraphernalia from the special edition, which we will be showing you very shortly, folks. So please don't worry, it's coming up very, very shortly.
And of course, there's Steve White, our editor, and Marcus from Amazing 15, who once again has done a very, very lovely job of making this book look really, really nice.
Yeah, it's a great team effort, but I'm very happy to put you two gents at the forefront of those efforts, because all the writing and the research and the kind of encouraging each other as well, it's really down to you two. So
well, it was like from my point of view, it seems like a kind of fob off chapters to AC, but it really needed the alien chapter, and the character chapter really needed a different flavor from everything else.
Yeah,
because you get all sort of my technical stuff, which some people love, but some people might find quite boring, and then you get into a much more mysterious, almost like there's more conjecture in AC's bits, and he handles that very, very well.
Well, thank you very much for saying so, Sarah. I think that your stuff is excellent as well, since we're throwing compliments around.
Oh no, compliments. Shields up.
All right, you two, don't go to the top here. AC's the purveyor of enigmatic flavour, and Chris is the sort of the technical wizard, providing those beautiful illustrations, which people are just so taken with, which is brilliant. So this will go on pre-order. Pre-order launches tomorrow, so the 27th at 5:30 p.m. UK time. So that is it's 12:30 in Eastern time and 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. So we know that there'll be some of you elsewhere in the world who might be in bed, but if you're absolutely desperate to get the special, then it might be worth just setting an alarm for 5 minutes to wake up and grab it. So the address for your books for tomorrow's pre-order is ander.son/S.H.A.D.O, and that's where the order will go live from at 5:30. Now, just to further whet your appetites, clever Chris, he's done something else. He's done a really lovely trailer, which will just get you in the mood, and then we're going to tell you all about the special, pricing and availability and all that sort of stuff. So here we go with the trailer for the manual. Oh, and you got your first hint there of the special edition as well. So nice trailer, Chris. Very atmospheric.
I do love that tune.
It's got the style and the funkiness of the show, so it feels very, very appropriate to me. So yeah, there you go. Lots of nice things about the trailer, of course. Thanks everyone for commenting. Isn't that great? Lots of oohs, great trailers. But yeah, it sets us up really, really, really nicely for the book. So the book itself is $37.99. But we're going to mark it down for 1 week only for pre-orders to $34.99. So it matches the price of the Moonbase book from last year. That's bearing in mind the cost of paper and production and everything else in the world has gone up. We just wanted to make it as accessible as the book was last year. So it's $34.99 for week 1, and then it'll go up to $37.99. Now, the special edition, which you've all been waiting for, drum roll please. It is. So our special edition this time round, we've made it in sort of bespoke, special shadow issue packaging, and we've made it like this so that it's hopefully at a more accessible price to more of you. You'll see quite a lot of paraphernalia in there, but it, again, very much like the Space 1999 book, it's been made to feel like an in-universe collection of goodies. So it feels like something that you would be given as a shadow operative. But I'm guessing if you're a special level recruit, you get the special edition, and if you're run-the-mill recruit, you get the book on its own.
Well, it's how we kind of treat the special editions, is that they're just an extra level of immersion. So it's like the Moonbase manual was very much something like a massive case that you get handed. Like on entry to alpha, like this is all your stuff, this is everything you need to know, here's the map, etc. The shadow one's a little bit more subdued. It's slip this under the corner and blow it up if anything goes wrong.
That sounds like a fair assessment. So there's another image for you, just so you can see the overview of some bits and pieces that are in there. I think your key items, obviously, the bespoke box, which feels like a shadow issue piece, the book itself, your kind of certificate of authenticity in this case, which is numbered. There are 500 of these worldwide, and that is it. There will be no more. The numbering is done on Ed Straker's ID badge. So we've got both studio and shadow ID badges for Straker there, which I believe are based, certainly the shadow one is based on the in-series image from a chest-mounted badge, I think, Chris, is that right? Yeah. So
no, these are sort of based on the ones. So the one that Straker gives Paul Foster in Exposed, it's based somewhat on that. It's Robbie had sort of done the front of the design to kind of like in the spirit of that. I ended up including the back of the design in insinuating that it folds over, so it kind of matches in quite nicely to what you sort of see on screen.
Yeah. Well, it is a lovely collection. Some other highlights in there, which are probably worth pointing out. So, Chris, the photo of the alien's planet.
One of the things I quite liked, and sort of we kind of kept adding stuff to it as we went along. And Robbie had originally done the original stuff, and I wanted to sneak some actual props in there. So because the photo of the alien's planet was A4. It was easy enough to kind of grab that, sort of repaint it so it didn't pixelate or anything, and add that as one of the things. So you've got that, and also we tried our best to recreate the folder, the one folder that you see everyone carry around the office. It's not 100% the same. You're going to need to get a little bit of orange tape for the side of it, but for the most part, it hopefully will kind of look like an actual prop.
Yeah, so the special edition includes this plastic folder. So here are the additional items that are in there.
So Robbie's done up like a bunch of rather lovely additional stuff. So we've got a page head from Harlington Straker Studios. We've got a Cat with 10 Lives movie poster, again, kind of leading into the film industry aspect of it. I've included the Shadow Fleet Spotters guide separate from the book itself, so you can put that on your wall. We have this like Moonbase status report, which is quite a nice piece of material to sort of put at the front, so it all kind of looks nice and official. And also, Robbie has done this nice Shadow Moonbase expansion page for us. And the idea behind that was the plan was to adapt UFO into UFO 2, which ended up becoming Space 1999. And that would have meant Shadow would have eventually moved to Moonbase. And that's Robbie's sort of take on a larger Moonbase.
There you go. On the Cat with 10 Lives poster, yes, it does indeed look like one of those film posters. So it's, that's Freeman's used to cover up one of the missions, essentially, but obviously tying in with an episode title for us to make it all feel lovely. Paul Hyde, wow. There we go. I think that's probably a pretty good comment across the whole thing. So let me just put the special back up on screen for you so you can see all the bits and pieces. So there's the special edition, limited to 500 worldwide and numbered on Straker's badge. The retail on it is 119. However, we're going to reduce that again for the pre-order period for the first week, 99 quid. So hopefully being under that 100 mark makes it much more affordable for more people. So it's not such a stretch, because we know the Moonbase Alpha package was quite a stretch for a lot of people. So that's the price for the 1 week only. Now, remember, here is your address of how to get it. Anderson/Shadow. Lots of very, very happy people here. Steve Bushell, you're absolutely right. The coffee table is not included. It is
Nor is the entire Moonbase.
Just the nor the Moonbase. Absolutely. Yeah. So there you go. That's your address. Anderson/Shadow. Or you can go to it from the main page of the Jerry Anderson store tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. So just in case you are watching from the US, the special edition is only available from the main Jerry Anderson store, from shop.jerryanderson.com, or from that link. You can order it from there and it'll be sent worldwide. That's no problem. But just so we can make sure we account for the 500, it has to be done from one site. We can't account for the stock being split across two places. So all the specials from there. If you want the standard edition and you are in the US, then you can just order from jerryanderson.store, which is our US storefront. So if you've got any questions for Chris and AC, then please do drop them in the comments.
Well, actually, just quickly to Mark Powell's comment, size and magnification of the alien planet is not included, because that's an important plot point from the episode.
Nice. Thank you, Mark, pointing that out.
Yes, as mentioned earlier, it is the same dimensions as a Space 1999 book. They are designed to kind of like sit together on the shelf and pretty much look like the evolution of one to the other. There
you go. There's your question answered. Jim asking how much is shipping in the UK. Shipping in the UK on the special is free. Shipping on the standard is, I think, $5.99. But if you add any other bits and pieces and take it over 50 quid, then it's free shipping. So there you go. That's you sorted there. Not directly related to the book, but what's happened to Ed's car? Do we know? I haven't heard any updates for a while.
Yeah, haven't heard. I think there's a few people making new versions, like trying to make replicas of it. I had heard, but the actual car itself, I don't know. I'm afraid.
There you go. Sorry,
it is included in the book, though. We do give it a couple of pages.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. The cars are in there and they look fantastic. Ian, can the US store ship to Canada? So, Ian, this is a weird quirk of the world that we live in. So bizarre. It's more expensive to ship from the US to Canada than it is from the UK to Canada. Plus, because Canada's in the Commonwealth, import duties, etc., are lower or non-existent to Canada from the UK. Whereas if you get it from the US, you have to pay import duties, and they can be quite hefty, with DHL and others charging enormous amounts of money. So we will send it from the place that is best for you, actually. But if you order the special from the standard store, from shop.jerryanderson.com, then we'll ship it from the right location that gets it to you the most effectively. In fact, the same for the standard if you order the standard from either place. But it's ridiculous, isn't it? You'd think being closer geographically, it would be cheaper. But there we go. Jeff, is the Space 1999 book still available? Yes, it is. Depends where you are, where you want to get it from. If you're in Canada, currently, actually, the best place to get it is from Amazon.ca. If you're in the US, then from jerryanderson.store. And if you're anywhere else, then shop.jerryanderson.com. So there you go. Richard's shipping to the US. So the store will charge, on the special edition, it will charge a flat fee, which I think will be £9, something like that, £9. Sorry, I'm saying that in a very English way. £9, which currently with the dollar is about $9. But the actual cost, if we can get any lower, which I doubt at that amount, we'll refund any difference before things are shipped. But with the way things are changing in the world, it'll just be a flat fee for there. So there you go. Nick McCarthy, any clues as to what's coming next? Well, Chris has got a list. I've got a list.
I also have a list.
I've got a list, and we have not yet decided. But there's definitely some interest in other shows. I've seen people asking for Spectrum, for Wasp, for all sorts.
Dick Spanner?
I think Dick Spanner might be bottom of the list, I'm afraid.
Torchy the battery boy.
Definitely not Torchy.
Build your own toy boy.
Steve, are you tempted to put the purple wig in the special edition? No, Steve, I'm sorry. I mean, I've got my purple wig here, which I'm not going to put on. But that does lead on to Martin's question here. Do we know why the purple wigs were worn by the girls on Moonbase? Chris, yeah. I believe, don't tell them the answer, but I believe you've got an answer in the book.
Yeah, there's we have put an answer in the book. Whether it's a satisfying answer or not, that's up to you guys. But there's not too many ways you can go with it, really. That doesn't go get a bit silly. So you have to just sort of acknowledge, yes, this is here and this is why.
Yeah.
Well, you can say that the prospect of tackling that question was hair-raising.
Oh, I see. Yes. That's why it's here, for the jokes and the human stuff. Dave, shipping to Australia, again, it'll be calculated by the store. As you know, things are expensive and slow to go to Australia, but you'll be charged the absolute minimum. US buyers, if you want to get the standard edition, jerryanderson.store. If you want the special edition, shop.jerryanderson.com, or there's the short link if you need that. So there you go. Hopefully that is helpful. Lots of requests for a Spectrum one. Interesting. Any other questions? How about Space Precinct? I suspect not, but you never know. Never say never on any of these things.
I think it's a question asking how many skydivers there are in the fleet.
Yes. How many skydivers are there, Chris and AC?
6, but eventually 9.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Evolving. There we go. Yeah. So, folks,
I those things were like Shadow is only just starting. Like, it's easy to forget that Identified is literally the first day that they go into like full operation. So they're not necessarily quite ready yet, and it's only later in the series they start talking about more skydivers. So I've kind of come up with this idea that they are sort of in production with an eventual plan for 9 of them to kind of cover the world quite evenly.
There you go. There's a good question for you. Do we have anything touching on the Patriot, the unmade episode of UFO in the book?
Not really. I'm going to be honest on that one. I did find it during the production, and I have read it, and it is very good. But there just wasn't anything specific to cover. Like, we were able to do stuff from the comics and things, because the comics do... There's a lot of time in the comics talking about the expansion of Shadow, and they're trying to set up bases here and there, and like we do incorporate that kind of stuff.
Okay, there you go. So no Patriot, but other stuff which will make you just as happy. Willie Bowen, how come the Shadow, Skydiver, Interceptors, and land vehicles didn't have laser cannons, Chris?
Because they hadn't been invented yet.
There you go. Okay. Fantastic. There's your answer. I can see can we see a Shadow mobile from the book? I don't think I've got any previews of the mobile, I'm afraid, Darren. Sorry, but they do look rather lovely. I mean,
we did have that operation of them attacking, but yes, no, there is. Well, there's one.
Yes, there's one on the screen. looking for the tactical image somewhere. There we go. You get a little hint of the mobiles there.
Yeah.
Chris has
We
done
do
again.
talk about the mobiles and the mobile transporter as well, and this is, you can't quite see it too well, but this is the image for the start of the Shadow Land Forces screen. So you can see like the Shadow Jeep down here, and then this is the mobile like coming out of the transporter. So like the mobiles are there. We didn't forget them.
Yeah, fantastic.
Or did we?
I think there's another question there about potential for signed copies, Jamie. I think we possibly covered that last week.
Yeah, so we can't manage signed copies. We're spread all over the place, but we will be at various events over the next 12 months or so. Chris and AC will probably be there as well. So best thing is to grab a copy, carry it with you if you know we're going to an event.
At all times.
We'll be
Never let
well,
it fall
if you go
into
to an
enemy
event,
hands.
but I think Chris AC will be more than happy to scribble in there for you.
Bring
So-
a pen. We never have pens.
But bring a Sharpie, yes. Yeah, very, very talented writers and illustrators, but never have a pen on them. So we'll just have a very, very quick run through here. So the standard edition, it's $37.99, but marked down to $34.99 for the pre-order for 1 week only, available from 5:30 p.m. tomorrow. That's the 27th, from that address right there. Make sure that you go there. If you are in the US, you can order from jerryanderson.store, but only for the standard edition. Your best bet is just to go here, and that will take you to the right place. Then, of course, the glorious special, limited to 500, full of all sorts of goodies. Bespoke shadow issue box, ID cards, all sorts of paraphernalia, replica props from the show. And that's £99. We expect that to sell out pretty quick. Just for reference, the Moonbase Alpha book sold out, the special edition sold out in 1 hour and 58 minutes last year. So if you are keen to get the special, and please don't delay, because we'd hate for you to miss out. We will not be making any more under any circumstances. We'll also be making sure that it's one order per person. So if you're trying to get the special, please do not attempt to order multiple copies in the hope of later flogging them. We want to keep it as fair as possible for everybody. And if you do order multiple copies, then I'm afraid any additional ones will be cancelled and refunded as soon as they're spotted. So there we go. There's the bit of telling off done, finger wagging over. Chris and AC, you've done a fantastic job, and all of you, thank you so much for watching and for joining us and for getting involved and for all the lovely things that you've said about the work, because they have done a fantastic job, the whole team. And yes, stand by for launch tomorrow, the 27th of September. That is right, isn't it? At 5:30 p.m. UK time. That's 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 a.m. Pacific. And if you're elsewhere in the world, then I hope it's not too horrible a time for you. But rest assured, it goes on sale at the UK time, 5:30. So you can just set an alarm, get up for 5 minutes, buy it, and then be done. So there we go. And they'll be shipping end of October. Probably will push us into early November for the US, but we'll get them to you as quickly as possible. But it's not a big, long wait. It's going off to print any minute. So there we go. Chris, AC, thank you so much. Lots of people saying thank you.
Thank you guys. I hope you enjoy it.
Yes,
Last
I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.
You can order a special and a regular at the same time. That's fine, just not multiple specials. There we go. Thanks, everyone. Have a fantastic evening or day wherever you are, and good luck getting your special tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good night.